So the starting point for this project is going to be the outer garment block. So the outer garment block has all these built into it for an outer garment that will be expected to sit on top of other garments. It has a shoulder bust dart and no other shaping. Other than that, it's just completely square. It has a one-piece sleeve. Let's see if I can get you, which has quite a nice pitch on it, and a completely straight back, no seam down it. It has no collar, it has no button stand. So it's like a totally simple garment for you then to do all manner of gorgeous things with. Okay, so this is our starting point. We are going to take that overgarment block and we're going to make alterations to it, we're going to make adaptations to it that are going to give you a fitted or more tailored looking jacket. We're going to be adding a revere, we're going to be adding a collar, we're going to be making the sleeve a two-piece sleeve. So if I take you in a little bit closer here, so we've got the button stand added to the centre front, we have a lapel, we have a collar. We still have the shoulder dart, but we now also have a waist dart. We have a two-piece sleeve, which has a very nice pitch on it. And in the top of that sleeve, we've got a shoulder pad and sleeve head roll. What else have we got? Oh, we've got a waist dart at the back, and we have a shaped centre back seam. So this, all in all, this just gives us a much better fit. Okay, so this is our starting point. So the main thrust of what we're doing is we're going to be taking the basic overgarment block and making a classic tailored fit jacket. We'll be adding shaping through the waist, we'll be adding a collar and a revere, making a two-piece sleeve also. This is the first time I've filmed anything, so you have to bear with me if I have to keep running off looking for things, as per usual. And I dare say I still won't have cut paper big enough, and I will still have to be sellotaping things on, but there you go. Right then, so the very first thing you're going to do is you're going to draw a line, a straight line, which is what you're going to line up your waist points on, and then you're going to draw another line where you're going to line up the elbow of the sleeve. I'm using a felt tip. You'll be using a nice fine 2H pencil. I'm just using a felt tip so you can see what I'm doing. Here we go. I'm going to trace around the front block first. I know that I'm going to need some extra space here on the centre front for adding the button stand and also for adding the revere at a later date. Once you've traced around this, this is going to become your master pattern, and you're never going to cut it up, you're only going to trace off from it. Here we go. So I've lined up the waist notches on that first line I put in, and I'm just going to draw around the outside edge. I'll mark whatever notches I've got. That's where the armhole notches. Mark the dart. It's very important, that dart. It's the only shaping we've got on this jacket, on the outer garment block, and it does give a nice fit over the shoulder down to the bust. So there we go, I've got my sleeve notch, everything marked on. Beautiful. Once that's done, check I've got the dart in, I can remove that. And I'm going to place the back against it, and I'm going to place the back against it, lining up the waist, which should then line up with the hem and also the armhole. And you're going to trace around this, and you're going to mark where the notches are. Oops. Again, the only shaping on the back of this is a small dart at the shoulder. Okay, make sure I've marked all of that on. Done. So that was nice and easy. We're not going to be looking at the sleeve for a little while, but it's worth having everything on the one sheet. So I'm going to draw around the sleeve now. It's a one-piece sleeve. We will be making this a two-piece sleeve in the coming weeks. Great, that's that. So I'm going to draw in the darts. So big dart on the centre front, the shoulder to bust dart, and the small dart on the back shoulder. And I'm going to put the centre line in around the sleeve. Okay, that's done. And we're ready now to put in or start working on the adjustments to make this a tailored jacket, fitted at the waist, collar, lapel, two-piece sleeve. Right, just a thought here. If you have had to make this block because you've not been in class to use the studio blocks, you probably have, at this point, a neck dart rather than a shoulder dart. You don't want that. What you're going to need to do is change the position of the dart. So I would recommend that you use the slashing method that you learnt in the first year and move your dart to the mid-shoulder. Okay, so what we're going to be doing here is we're just going to be following instructions as to where to put basic seam lines in. So this isn't something that you did in first year, this is an addition to your sort of skills and methods. Don't think that you can't use the skills that you learned and the techniques that you learned in your first year. This is just adding to what you know. So don't forget what you did in the first year. We need you to remember that and take it forward in everything else that you're going to do. So to do this, I'm just following instructions. So here we go. We've laid out our blocks, side seams together, we've drawn in the darts and we've drawn in the waistline. Now we need another couple of horizontals before we can carry on. And one of those is the armhole depth. So to find the armhole depth is easy. You'll take your pattern master and you'll square off to the front and to the back, like so. Now, if we've been really fabulous, that should come out nice and square at the back. And it should hit the centre front square also. And in the case of my block, it runs through the end of the dart, all of which is not a problem. So, other things that we need to find. We need to find the hip line. And the hip line, we're saying, is 15.5 centimetres down from the waist. So 15.5, and we're going to square across, so I could just do lots of 15.5s this, couldn't I? So 15.5 down, and we'll measure across. This gives us a guide as to where the darts that we're going to put in a minute are going to end. Okay, so we've got our horizontals in. I don't think we need any more horizontals. We are first going to drop a line directly from the end of the dart. That's on the front, excuse me, not saying. Dropping down at a right angle off that armhole line and taking that down to the hip line. Now we want a correspond, we're going to add shape into that momentarily. We want a corresponding position on the back to put the back shaping in. And this is going to be 10 centimetres in from the centre back. So here we go, I'm measuring it at the armhole line and we're dropping down. Let me check, I think I might have been a bit wobbly on that one. 10 centimetres, I was. Okay, now I should be fine. So we have the positions of our darts, but we don't have the shaping for the dart yet, which is what we're going to do next. So for the dart position, on the front, I want you to drop down 3 centimetres from the end of the dart. Now the reason we're dropping down that 3 centimetres is for the same reason that you don't have your darts run to the bust point, because it would give you a very pointy tit area, which is not what we're looking for. This allows for it to be a more rounded shape as it comes down over the bust. Now we want to know widths. On the waistline, we are going to come out on both sides from that line 2 centimetres, like so. And we're then going to join up from where we decided our dart was going to end, which was 3 centimetres away from the shoulder dart, and then we're going to bring it back in to the hip line that we added. That's done. Super easy, I'm sure you'll agree. So now we're going to be looking at how we will shape the waist from the side seam. So we don't just want the shaping at the front and shaping at the back, we want shaping all the way around. So this is where it gets a little bit different from front to back. On the front edge, you're going to come in by 2.5, but on the back, you're just coming in by 1.5, and that is purely because that's the way bodies are built. So for this top bit of the shaping, we're going straight on the front and we're going straight on the back. But when we come to the hip line, we're not going to go straight, because if you think hips aren't straight, there's more of a curve, isn't there? So I want you to find an area on your pattern master that you think mimics a hip shape, and you're going to join up with that. Now if you don't feel confident enough to do that, I would say get your skirt block out and use the curvature that there is on the skirt, on your skirt block, and that will not be far wrong. Always keep in mind that everything you do you're going to trial to check the fit anyway, but this is a good basic. Right then, we've got those darts to do on the back. So on the new line that we've dropped down at 10 centimetres from the centre back, we're going to come out on both sides by 1.2. Now these measurements I'm giving you, they're basic measurements. In the design process, of course, you'll decide whether you want more or less to make the specific shape that you're looking for. But this module is called, or this brief is called, The Jacket's the Basics. What I'm showing you are the very basic rules. You're then going to use your skill, imagination, creativity, and do something much more exciting with that. Not on this brief, but potentially on a future brief. Okay. Something else that we want a little bit of shaping in to take away that boxiness is on the hemline. We're going to come in by 1 centimetre, and we're going to then make a line from the underarm line, and that's our new centre back. This gives us a sort of a slight curve on the centre back seam, and it means that this jacket will need to have a centre back seam on it. You could ignore that last instruction if you like, but that centimetre does make a very nice difference on the fit of the jacket, so you might want to consider it. So in terms of the shaping, you're done, you've done it. I'll be back soon with the next lot of instructions, which will be adding the collar and the revers and the button stand and the break point and the break line. But we'll think about those in a moment.